You are watering your plants to death right now. Seriously, most people kill their garden not by neglecting it, but by loving it too much. Overwatering, daily watering, standing there with the hose every evening thinking you're doing the right thing. And here's the reality. The majority of common garden plants die from too much water, not too little. But what if you could build a garden that actually gets better the more you ignore it? Plants that don't just tolerate drought, they thrive in it. Plants that have evolved for millions of years to survive brutal heat, bone-dry soil, and weeks without a single drop of rain. Today I'm giving you 9 of them. 9 plants that don't need you hovering over them with a watering can. 9 plants you can plant, walk away from, and come back to find them looking better than ever. And number 7 on this list, it's a plant that literally gets destroyed by watering. Water it once after it's established and you might kill it. Stay until the end. I'll explain exactly why. Here's the thing most gardening advice gets completely wrong. They tell you to water deeply, water consistently, check the soil moisture, set a schedule. And for some plants, tomatoes, hydrangeas, ferns, that's true. But for a huge category of plants, water is actually the enemy. These 9 plants have evolved specific biological mechanisms to survive without water. Waxy leaves that lock moisture inside. Deep taproots that drill 10, 15, even 20 feet down to find groundwater. Some of them even use a completely different type of photosynthesis that other plants can't do, absorbing carbon dioxide at night so they don't lose a single drop of water during the day. Over the next 15 minutes, I'll show you exactly what each plant is, why it thrives on neglect, and where to put it in your garden. And if you stick with me to the end, I'll give you the one mistake almost everyone makes with drought-tolerant plants in their first year. The mistake that kills them before they ever get a chance to show you what they can do. Cluster 1. The Mediterranean powerhouses, plants 1 to 3. These first 3 come from the Mediterranean basin, a part of the world where it basically doesn't rain for 4 months straight every summer. They're built for this. Number 1. Lavender. Lavender doesn't just tolerate dry conditions, it demands them. The number 1 way people kill lavender is by planting it in rich, moisture-retentive soil and watering it like a petunia. Stop. Lavender's native habitat is the rocky, gravelly hillsides of the Mediterranean. Its silvery leaves are coated in fine hairs that trap moisture and reflect sunlight. Its roots are shallow but wide-spreading, designed to catch every drop of morning dew before it evaporates. Here's the rule with lavender. Plant it in the worst soil you have. Gravelly, sandy, poor soil that drains instantly. Full sun, at least 6 hours of direct light, and once it's established after the first few months, stop watering it entirely. It will reward you with that iconic fragrance, endless purple blooms, and more pollinators than you can count. English lavender is hardy to zone 5. French and Spanish varieties handle extreme heat even better. Cut the flower stalks after blooming and you'll often trigger a second flush. Number 3. Rosemary. I'm jumping to rosemary here because it pairs beautifully with lavender. Same origin, same rules, same near zero water requirements. Rosemary is practically unkillable once established. Those needle-like leaves. Each one is essentially a moisture vault. Tiny surface area means almost no water loss through transpiration. In its native Mediterranean coastal habitat, rosemary grows on rocky cliffs where the soil drains so fast that rain is gone in minutes. It's adapted to absorb water instantly and store it efficiently. In your garden, give it full sun, gritty soil, and almost no water. In zone 8 and above, rosemary grows into a massive woody shrub, 4 to 6 feet tall and wide. In colder zones, grow it in a container and bring it in for winter. And here's the bonus. It's one of the most useful plants you can grow. Fresh rosemary for roasted vegetables, grilled meats, focaccia, infused oils. Harvest it anytime. Cutting it back actually encourages bushier growth. If you're only going to plant one herb this year, rosemary is the one that asks for nothing and gives you everything. Number 2. Russian sage. Despite the name, Russian sage is not from Russia and not a sage. It's from the dry steppes of Central Asia, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Tibet, places where summer temperatures regularly hit triple digits and rain is a distant memory. Russian sage sends down a taproot that can reach 10 to 15 feet deep. While your neighbors are out there watering their petunias every morning, your Russian sage is quietly drinking from water tables they don't even know exist. The foliage is aromatic. Crush a leaf and you'll get that distinct sage-like scent. The flowers appear in mid to late summer and last for weeks. Airy purple-blue wands that seem to float above the silvery foliage. This plant gets big, 3 to 5 feet tall and wide. Give it space. Give it full sun. Give it soil that drains quickly, and then leave it alone. No fertilizer, no supplemental water. In fact, too much water or fertilizer makes it floppy and weak. Russian sage at its best is lean, tough, and absolutely covered in flowers, hardy from zones 4 to 9. Planted next to lavender for a stunning zero-maintenance duo. All right, 3 Mediterranean plants that basically want you to leave them alone. But the next cluster is even more extreme. These are the desert survivors, plants that have evolved biological tricks so effective that water actually becomes dangerous to them. Stick with me. Cluster 2, the desert survivors, plants 4 to 6. These 3 have evolved in some of the driest places on Earth. Water them the wrong way and they'll rot before you know what happened. Number 4, agave. Agave is the ultimate plant-it-and-forget-it specimen. Those thick fleshy leaves store massive amounts of water, like a built-in reservoir. The waxy coating seals every drop inside. And those sharp leaf tips and spines, they're not just for defense. They actually channel morning dew down toward the plant's center and into the root zone. Agave uses a completely different type of photosynthesis called CAM, crassulacean acid metabolism. Unlike most plants that open their pores during the day to absorb CO2, losing huge amounts of water in the process, agave keeps its pores sealed tight during the heat. It opens them at night when it's cooler, absorbs CO2 then, and stores it for use during the day. Zero water wasted. But here's the danger. Water an established agave, especially in cool weather, and you risk crown rot. The center of the plant where new leaves emerge will turn mushy and collapse. Once that happens, the plant is done. The rule with agave: plant it, water it lightly for the first month while roots establish, then stop. Forever. Most species are hardy to zone 8 or 9, but there are cold hardy varieties like agave pari that survive down to zone 5 with good drainage. In cold zones, the key is keeping the crown dry through winter. Plant on a slight slope or mound for drainage. Number 5. Yucca. Yucca is so tough it's almost absurd. You see it growing out of highway medians, parking lot islands, cracks in asphalt, places where the soil temperature hits 130 degrees and nothing else survives. It doesn't care. Like agave, yucca stores water in its thick roots and rhizomes. Its leaves have a thick waxy cuticle and deep-set pores to minimize water loss. The taproots can descend 5 to 10 feet. But here's what makes yucca special. It has a symbiotic relationship with the yucca moth, the only insect that pollinates it. The moth lays eggs in the flower, and the larvae eat some of the developing seeds. In return, the moth pollinates the flowers. Neither species can reproduce without the other. For your garden, yucca gives you year-round architectural structure. That spiky, dramatic silhouette that looks incredible against softer plants. Plus a stunning flower spike in summer that can reach 6 to 8 feet tall, covered in creamy white bell-shaped blooms. Give it full sun. Give it soil that drains instantly. Give it nothing else. Hardy zones 4 to 10, depending on species. Yucca filamentosa handles zone 4 winters without flinching. Number 6. Lantana. Lantana is the workhorse of the drought-tolerant garden. It blooms non-stop from late spring until the first frost. We're talking 6 to 7 months of continuous color. In the hottest, driest part of August, when everything else is wilting, Lantana looks like it just got started. Its secret is a combination of deep roots and leaves that are slightly fuzzy. Those fine hairs trap moisture and reflect excess sunlight. Lantana also produces compounds in its leaves that make them unpalatable to deer and rabbits, so nothing eats it. In frost-free zones 9 to 11, lantana is a perennial shrub that gets bigger every year. In colder zones, treat it as an annual, or grow it in a container and overwinter indoors. The trailing varieties are incredible in hanging baskets and spilling over walls. Give it full sun, well-drained soil and deep but infrequent watering during establishment. After that, rain is usually enough. We're past the halfway point. You've got the Mediterranean workhorses and the desert survivors. The final cluster is what I call the American prairie natives. Plants that have been thriving in North America's droughts for thousands of years before anyone ever thought to water them. And number 7, the one I warned you about, is in this group. If you're getting value from this, hit subscribe. I release new videos every week helping you garden smarter, save money and stop doing unnecessary work. Cluster 3, the American prairie natives, plants 7 to 9. Number 7, coneflower echinacea. This is plant number 7, the one that gets destroyed by too much water. Here's why. Coneflower is a native North American prairie plant. For thousands of years, it evolved in the grasslands of the Great Plains. We're talking about a region where summer droughts are routine and fires sweep through periodically. To survive, coneflower developed a deep, fibrous root system that stores water and nutrients, and a natural resistance to the fungal diseases that plague overwatered gardens. When you give coneflower rich soil and regular water, 2 things happen. First, it grows too fast. The stems get leggy and weak and the whole plant flops over. Second, and worse, excess moisture triggers fungal diseases, especially powdery mildew and stem rot. A coneflower that's being loved with water is a sick coneflower. A coneflower that's been ignored in lean, dry soil. It's compact, sturdy, and blooms for 8 to 10 weeks straight from midsummer into fall. The spent flower heads are a goldfinch magnet in autumn. Leave them standing through winter for the birds. And if you want to harvest the roots for echinacea tea, wait until the plant is 3 to 4 years old and dig in fall. Hardy from zones 3 to 9. Full sun, lean soil, no water after establishment. Done. Number 8. Sedum, stone crop. Sedum is essentially a succulent that decided to be a perennial garden flower. Those thick, fleshy leaves, they're water storage organs. Each leaf is a miniature reservoir that the plant can draw from during extended dry periods. The name stone crop comes from the fact that these plants can literally grow in cracks between stones with barely any soil and zero irrigation. There are 2 categories for your garden. Creeping sedums are ground covers, perfect for rock gardens between pavers, spilling over walls. Dragon's blood, blue spruce, Angelina. They form dense mats of color and choke out weeds. Upright sedums like autumn joy grow 18 to 24 inches tall with flat heads of tiny star-shaped flowers that shift from green to pink to deep rust as the season progresses. They're stunning in fall and early winter. The dried flower heads catch frost and snow beautifully. Both types want full sun and fast-draining soil. Too much water causes sedum to rot at the crown. If you see the stems getting soft and collapsing at the base, you're watering too much. Hardy from zones 3 to 9. Plant them and forget them. Number 9. Bougainvillea. Bougainvillea is the grand finale. If you live in zones 9 to 11, this plant will give you the most dramatic display in your entire garden. And here's the counterintuitive secret. Bougainvillea blooms best under stress, specifically water stress. When a bougainvillea gets regular water, it produces lots of green leaves and very few flowers. It gets comfortable, lazy. It thinks life is easy, so it just makes foliage. But when you restrict water, when the plant experiences a mild, controlled drought, it triggers a survival response. Reproduce. And for bougainvillea, reproduction means flowers. Explosions of them. Here's how to manage it. Plant in the hottest, sunniest spot you have. Let the soil dry out almost completely between waterings. When you see the leaves just barely start to droop, that's your cue to water. Then soak it deeply and let it dry out again. This wet-dry cycle is what triggers the bloom. Bougainvillea also grows beautifully in containers, and in a pot, the restricted root space actually intensifies the blooming response. In cold zones, grow it in a container and bring it indoors to a sunny window for winter. Cut back on water dramatically during winter dormancy. 9 plants, 3 categories. But there's one thing I need to tell you before you go, because it's the mistake that kills more drought-tolerant plants than drought ever does. Here's the rule that changes everything. Drought-tolerant does not mean drought-proof in year 1. When you bring a plant home from the nursery, its root system is confined to a tiny pot. It doesn't matter that an adult lavender can survive months without water. A baby lavender in a 4-inch pot has all its roots in the top 4 inches of soil, which dries out fast. If you plant it and immediately abandon it, it will die. Not because the plant isn't drought tolerant, but because the roots haven't established yet. Here's your watering schedule for every plant on this list. Year 1. Deep, infrequent watering. Soak the root zone thoroughly, then let it dry out completely before watering again. Every 7 to 10 days in the first growing season, depending on your climate. Year 2. Cut back to every 2 to 4 weeks. Year 3 and beyond. In most climates, these plants will survive on rainfall alone. You may never water them again. The goal is to train the roots to go deep. Shallow, frequent watering trains roots to stay near the surface. Deep, infrequent watering forces them downward. And once those roots are 10, 15, 20 feet down, the plant has access to moisture that surface plants can't reach. Get the first year right, and these 9 plants will outlive you with 0 effort. That's the deal. So here's what you take away. Cluster 1. The Mediterranean powerhouses. Lavender, rosemary, and Russian sage. Gritty soil, full sun, almost no water. Cluster 2. The desert survivors. Agave, yucca, and lantana. Plants that store water so efficiently that giving them extra can kill them. Cluster 3. The American prairie natives, coneflower, sedum, and bougainvillea. They've been surviving North America's droughts for millennia without any help from us. 3 categories, 9 plants. 1 rule, get the first year right with deep, infrequent watering, and after that, stop. Stop lugging the hose. Stop checking soil moisture. Stop worrying. These plants do not need you hovering over them. They've been doing this a lot longer than we've been gardening. The best garden isn't the one you work the hardest on. It's the one that works without you. Plant these 9 and you'll have a garden that looks better the less you do. More color, less effort, and a water bill that might actually make you smile. If this helped, smash that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. I put out new videos every week helping you garden smarter. Save money, and stop doing work your plants don't need you to do. Now go plant something that wants to be ignored.